Hi, welcome back to A Simple Low Carb Life. How's it going so far? Hopefully, you're getting through this and able to absorb all the information as we go along. Hopefully, you're also taking breaks in between, like I've suggested. Please don't cram, as I've indicated before, because you really will have a hard time retaining the information. So, we've learned quite a bit so far, and now we're at Module 7, and we're going to learn about low carb recipe sites that can help you to enrich your daily meals by having some great ideas as to what to make. So you might be asking yourself, where can I find low carb recipes that are not only interesting, but also have a nutritional label? Well, there's a lot of recipes out there that are touted to be low carb, but without the nutritional label, you might find out that they're really not low carb at all. Unfortunately, there's a lot of deceptive advertising in everything. So, how will you know if something is low carb or not? So you can count the carbs and the protein. Well, that's a good question. There are a few great recipe sites that are low carb and some recipe books that provide nutritional information and how many servings any given recipe makes. And I have been able to curate a number of those and I use them myself personally. So I'm happy to share those ideas with you so that we can get you started. So now that you've had quite a bit of in depth training, and now that you can understand the ingredients that actually are low carb, it shouldn't be difficult for you now to look at the ingredient list of just about any recipe and you can get a sense of whether something is really low carb or not. For example, if you're looking at a list of ingredients in a recipe and it says rice flour, well, it may be lower in carb than some wheat product, but without even seeing a nutritional label that lists the carb amount, you're going to know that that is higher in carbs than what you can tolerate in a low carb diet because of the rice flour. So do pay attention to the listed ingredients. That will really help you, especially if there's no nutritional label. You want to be aware of the many recipes, again, that claim to be low carb that actually are not. So really scrutinize those. So, in other words, any recipes that contain flour, sugar, honey, agave, dates, raisins, maple syrup, corn syrup for that matter, or other high carb ingredients are not low carb, pure and simple. Now, a lot of items you may find that don't have a nutritional label in terms of how many calories, carbs, etc., but the ingredients will have to be listed. So that can be your tip off that you can know with even without a label if something is really going to be low carb or not by looking at that list of ingredients. So do beware, read the labels. I know you've heard this 1,000 times already and you'll hear it more, but really you have to read the labels. Now, as to where you can find some of these recipes, we offer a number of free recipes on our website and each with a nutritional label. You'll know the serving size, you'll know how many calories, proteins, fats, and net carbs. So you can see on the link there where to go to find the recipes that are always increasing in numbers on our website. We also have a Pinterest board, and for those of you who haven't used Pinterest before, if there are any people out there who have not used Pinterest yet, it's a fantastic place to find all sorts of things. But if you're looking for recipes in particular that are low carb, there are literally thousands and hundreds of thousands and maybe even millions of recipes out there. So we have curated a number of low carb recipes that have, some of them have low carb, some of them have nutritional information, but all of them have been selected to be low carb ingredients. So I would say this is a nice way to get a lot of ideas and a lot of variety. And the link on the screen is our Pinterest boards. We have a number of them also with weight loss tips as well, and some motivational quotes and some exercise tips. So it's a nice place to go, and you basically select that item and click the pin it button that you'll see attached to each of these items. And you essentially can save it to a board on your own Pinterest page, and you can find it later by having this visual picture of the item. So it's a fantastic way of hanging on to recipes from hundreds and hundreds of sites. We also post and share recipes on our Facebook page along with other free tips. So you can go there at the link on the screen. If you're looking at recipes that are not on our own website or even on our Pinterest site, if the nutritional label is not listed, you really need to scrutinize them by looking at the ingredients again to make sure that at least the ingredients are low carb. So if you want to make any recipe at home, this is one of the best free calorie count analyzers or recipe analyzers that I've ever found. And it's on caloriecount.com. And the link you'll see on the screen here. I use it for every recipe that I create in my home. So let me show you how this works. You basically list in that little servings box, in that yellow box on the screen, you list how many servings you want it to have. And then you just copy and paste from your computer what you've written down as your recipe, and you list the ingredients in that box. For example, 1 cup almond meal, half a cup of erythritol, whatever the ingredients are, you just list it there. And then you click Analyze Recipe. Now, sometimes when you click Analyze Recipe, you'll need to use drop-down menus to select more specifically what it is you're looking for. But basically, once you've done all of that, then you will create your very own nutritional label for your item. It will list calories, it will list total fat, total protein, and how much fiber, as well as how many carbs. So it's a great little thing to have, and you can know exactly what you're in for with this recipe analyzer. Now, if the calories and the net carbs in particular and the proteins aren't what you would like for them to be for that particular serving, you just go back and there will be a button that says edit, and you can go back and edit that and see, okay, if 8 servings for that pie is too large an amount of carbs, for example, what about 10? And so you just change that and see what you can get by with, basically, in terms of a serving size. It's a great tool, and so let's go back to that. This is the link. If you keep that on your computer and bookmark it, it's a great way to analyze every recipe that you make. Now let's move on. Here are some recipe sites that I personally use, and these all have free low-carb recipes. Many of them are blogs, and they have some great information on their websites. My all-time favorite is by Carolyn Ketchum, and it's All Day I Dream About Food. Isn't that a great name? She has some brilliant and well thought out recipes and does all the photography herself. And each and every recipe has a nutritional label. And she is always giving tips about why she uses certain ingredients as opposed to others. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for recipes that are fantastic, both savory and sweet, try All Day I Dream About Food. She has some brilliant ideas. Authority Nutrition has recipes, but also has some meal planning ideas if you want to look at those. Adkins.com has a number of recipes that you can use that are they also list the nutritional information, and all of them are low carb, of course. Ginaw.com, a number of low carb recipes, all with nutritional information. I Breathe, I'm Hungry is another great one. Has some brilliant recipes as well. HoldTheToast.com. There are many, many out there, but these are ones that I recommend because they have nutritional labels and they're all low carb. There's not a bait and switch where some of them are low carb and some are not. Now, that being said, I will say that All Day I Dream About Food.com occasionally will have a higher carb item meaning it's still low carb, but not perhaps 10 net carbs or less for a serving size. But she will warn you all throughout the recipe, and I've only seen one or two of those. So these are some great links to have. I would look them up, bookmark them, and have them handy on your computer. You can also find a few of my personal favorite low carb recipe books on our website. If you go to the link that's on the screen to our online store, you can find a number of these recipe books. Again, you don't have to necessarily buy them online from our store, but if you can find them locally, um, then please do. We all do what we need to do to get the best buy. And so, at least if you go to the online store, you will have some ideas about what you can find. There are so many wonderful low carb recipes out there. So you can soon learn how you can substitute for just about any high carb food. Uh, you'll find substitutions for the things that you once loved to eat in the high carb world. And there are many, many wonderful, innovative recipes, and I'm often amazed at how people came up with the ingredients that they used. But there are some very innovative recipes out there. I challenge you to add tons of variety to your low carb meals and capture all of the flavors that you love, all of the flavors that are on your taste or on your tongue. We all have taste buds for salty, sweet, sour, crunchy, savory. And if we don't satisfy those, we will biologically look for them. So I challenge you to add variety with uh, recipes to your repertoire so that you can soon become a skilled low carb cook. Believe me, I was no cook. I had cursory knowledge before I started living low carb, and I've learned more about cooking and baking living low carb than I ever did in the high carb world. So if you educate yourself and continue to step outside the box, think outside the box, and try some recipes that you might not have ever tried in the past with some unusual ingredients, try them. You might find that you absolutely love them. I've found that to be true for myself. This is really the key to a satisfying and incredibly simple low carb life. So branch out and get some recipes that speak to you. Okay, we have just completed Module 7. You've really come a long way so far, and really, I would stop and ask yourself at this point, how's it going so far? Is your weight stalling or is it smooth sailing? If it's stalling, then these next videos are for you. We all hit bumps in the road in any form of weight loss and even in low carb weight loss. So let's troubleshoot in the next series some specific reasons for stalled weight and some strategies as to how to get the weight off and get past that plateau. So we'll see you in the next video. Take a little break in between.